recently, the president has said that gun control should be a single issue through which voters examine their priorities come November. Earlier this week, Americans for Responsible Solutions endorsed Senators Toomey and Kirk. The president and vice president have endorsed their challengers, McGinty and Duckworth, respectively. Is this just people who disagree about what that single issue lends, or what explains the sunlight between the president and someone like former Congresswoman Giffords?
Well, listen, I think everybody's going to draw their own conclusions about this. I think the promise that the president made was to not support anyone that didn't share his commitment to common sense gun control safety or gun safety legislation. And you referenced Congresswoman Duckworth and Ms. McGinty. Those are two candidates that enthusiastically share President Obama's commitment to those common sense notions that we know would have an impact, a positive impact in reducing gun violence in this country. That's why the president went forward with endorsing them, and that's the decision that the president and vice president made together.
Former Congresswoman Giffords and her organization believe that Senators Toomey and Kirk would also work to make sure that common sense gun reform, and specifically cite their work after the Connecticut shooting, and talk about how they supported legislation. They're willing to put that endorsement behind. Does the president agree that these are two people that he could work with? He won't be around, obviously, for their next term, but is it someone that the next president should be able to work with to work on gun reforms?
Well, I would acknowledge that I have not scrutinized the records of the two senators that you have mentioned on the issue of gun safety.
Isn't the work of Congresswoman Giffords good enough for the White House on this?
Well, she's drawing her own assessment, and they're certainly entitled to do that. The president's decision in both of these races was rooted in the priorities and agenda that have been identified by both candidates, Congresswoman Duckworth and Ms. McGinty. And that agenda doesn't just include their strong and enthusiastic support for common sense gun safety legislation, but also includes their strong support for a variety of other measures, including things like job training and support for efforts to tackle climate change and expanding economic opportunity for everybody, including middle-class families. That's the reason that the president supported those two candidates. And again, everybody's going to have to draw their own conclusions and make their own decisions about what they're...
No longer using just gun control to decide who to support in these races.
No.
Should other people?
I never suggested that was going to be the case.
Well, the president said it should be a single issue for voters.
And that's why, if there are candidates who don't...
Taking other issues into account.
Yeah, Jared, I think you're making it more complicated than it actually is. So we'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Josh.